Good morning. This is Mariana Williams, and I am the chair of the mentoring committee for the New Orleans Hispanic Heritage Foundation. And I will kick off the program today. So first of all, welcome to the first session of the mentoring program for the New Orleans Hispanic Heritage Foundation. Thank you so much for participating in this program with us. We are very excited to have our first session, and the topic for this quarter is why should I get a college degree? And our speaker today is Dr. René Citrón. René is the Chief Education and Training Officer with Louisiana's Community and Technical College, and he's also a leader in academic affairs, adult education, institutional effectiveness, and workforce development. We are very excited to have him as our speaker today, and with that, I will turn it over to René. Thank you, and welcome again.
Cool, thanks, Mariana. On my notes here I have, it's good to see everybody, but it's good to be here with you, and hopefully maybe it's good for you to see me. I don't know, well, maybe tell me later how that looks, but it's really good and exciting to be here with you virtually, albeit, but to talk about why is a college degree is important. And if we can go to the next slide real quick, I think it's introduction piece. Yeah, so why should I get a college degree? So let me share with you a little bit about me first and kind of my journey to where I am today. I mean, you heard some of the things that I do with the Louisiana community colleges across the state from Mariana. But as I look back at my life, it was when I moved to New Orleans as 13 years old, entering 10th grade, during a time when the graduation rates here in the state of Louisiana were a little bit above 60%, and Hispanics like myself were dropping out of school at 2 to 3 times the rate of other classmates. So it was a different environment, different journey. The reason we moved, my dad was laid off. The island of Puerto Rico was suffering from unemployment rates in the 20%. So it happened to my family. We moved to New Orleans, my mom, my dad, and my brother. And we started back, but everything, statistically speaking, we're gonna get to some stats and showing you some of the reasons for getting a college degree, said that I wasn't even gonna graduate from high school. Nevertheless, I kept going, pressing on, and went to college, and I failed out. I failed out of college after a year of attending a university. It was a technical reason, non-attendance. So if I give you any piece of advice today, go to class. It was a policy from the registrar and from the university that if you were not in attendance 90% of the class, they would turn your A's, B's, and spaces, sometimes C's, into F's. That's really what drove me into policy changes and working with students and working with the higher education environment and helping inform what are some reasons that are out there, because I didn't know what the policies were at the time. So finished my bachelor's degree, started a family, went to the Air Force, started my career in higher ed after that, and here I am today, lucky enough to share some of this information with you. Of course, one of the reasons that comes to mind for getting a college degree is that job is going to require it. If you want to be a medical doctor, you're going to need an MD. If you want to be a teacher, a bachelor's degree. So there's sometimes it's a requirement. But I want to share with you today 3 more holistic reasons for going to college and getting a degree. And those are happiness, health, and money. I think money comes up with getting a college degree, but happiness and health are often not talked about. And I think all of them are just as important. So let's start with happiness and share with you the job satisfaction. So the job satisfaction of those with a college degree versus those with a high school. I know you're going to earn your high school diploma here pretty soon. There's a difference, a slight difference of 1%, and then the higher you keep going, it goes to 92%. Not much there as far as percentage points, but you talk about the millions of people that are in the workforce today. That's a lot of people that are happier or more satisfied with the work that they do. The other piece is the level of happiness, period, and not just here in the United States, but all over the country. I mean, all over the world, rather. Where you see on the left with the lower level of education, and then on the right, the highest level of education, and you see the differences in those boxes. The bottom box is happiness, and then on the other side, you see it going a little bit bigger. So overall happiness improves as your educational attainment increases beyond high school. So that's happiness. It's important to be content and happy about what you do. And later we're going to talk about how all of these interconnect. The next one is health. I want to be healthy. I want to make sure that I live a long time. But unfortunately, those without a high school diploma report the greatest rates of poor health and fair health. And as you see the chart there, as you increase your education, you reduce the fair or poor health. So basically, you increase your better health. And it's, putting these into perspective, you have 1 in 4. Well, let me jump to the high school, because that's where you're going to be. You're going to have your high school diploma here pretty soon. 1 in 5 individuals are reporting poor health, whereas 1 in 20 individuals are reporting poor health with a bachelor's degree. And we're in an environment where that's not enough. We have to continue learning, and it's earning certificates, earning certifications, learning different things, and going. So it's not a one and done situation with a college degree, but it's definitely helpful, as you've seen so far in 3 pieces of stats that share, hey, there are benefits here. So I have 3 more pieces to share with you in case you want to know more. And that is, I mentioned earlier, I want to be healthy. I want to live a long time. And, you see here, and for you ladies, you have a better shot than I do here with the risk or probability of death. So your probability of death is already way lower than mine. But with the higher level of education, it goes even lower than where it is today. And I hope that we all are able to live a very long life with or without education. But you see here the probability of death is reduced the higher your education level. So I've shared with you happiness and health, which are often not discussed or looked at. But what we often hear the most is money, that money has a factor in this. And before I get to the money part, I want to share with you the unemployment rate. I mentioned that my dad was laid off, and that's the reason I moved to New Orleans, and then had continued my career here, and my education and family here. But you notice the high school diploma level, those that stop their education there have a 3.7% rate of unemployment at that educational level. And it's almost cutting half when you reach the bachelor's level, and it's cut by 1% when you hit the associate's degree, because it's important to know the different levels of education. So you get a certificate, you get an associate's degree, you get a bachelor's, a master's, you keep going all the way up to a professional doctoral degree. And you see right then and there how the unemployment rate it's lower the higher the education level that you have. On the right side, you see the median weekly earnings, and you see it going up. But I want to share with you the annual earnings, and because it demonstrates a larger difference. So on the next slide, you'll see the high school diploma earnings in that second bar in at $24,000 a year on average. Some people make more, some people make less, but on average, $24,000, and that probably sounds pretty good. But you fast forward a few of those educational points. You go through some college, get a certificate, go through a associate degree, and then go through your bachelor's degree. You have a $32,000 increase on average there, $56,000 a year that you have the potential of more or less having that earnings with your bachelor's degree. It is no secret then why people are happier with their job, why they're healthier, because they're able to afford going to the doctor and maybe even have health insurance and so on. So all of these are combined. But what would you do with $30,000 extra dollars a year? I can think of quite a few things, including donated into foundations and scholarships in the community, and buy myself a couple of things. Buy my daughters. I have 3 daughters, 18, 20, and 23. Maybe that they'll have better ideas on how to spend it. But just think about that for a second. So if we go to the next slide and kind of summarize all of this, I encourage all of you to think about the happiness, the health, and the money that you want to have in your life going forward. I know it's kind of hard to think beyond the now, but what do you want now, and what do you want in a year, and what do you want in 5 years? and see where your path could take you. And it's all of it together. And I'm very confident that all of you are already in a good path by being here today, are in a good path for graduating high school, attending college, graduating college, and so on, and having an improvement of your health and your happiness and the money that you and your family can have as you move through your educational levels. So I peppered you with a whole bunch of stuff. But I wanted to be brief and just give you a whole bunch of information. But if you just take these three elements from this, that you will make my day. So with that, I'll open up for questions, and I'll be happy to answer anything that I may be able to help with, anything at all. So if we go to the next one, we'll do some questions and answers. Did I miss anything?
Any questions?
You're like, finally, he is done talking.
Can you talk a little bit about how you chose the college that you did attend?
Yeah, so so I went to the University of West Alabama, a very small rural community down east of Meridian, Mississippi, all the way in the west side, 17 miles into the state of Alabama from New Orleans. The reason was my parents were in New Orleans. I wanted to get away from the city. I wanted to go to a place where the life was a little bit slower pace, and I definitely found that location. At that same time, my parents moved to Puerto Rico, so I ended up being far away from my parents and just being there by myself. At the age of 16, I entered college, so a little bit earlier than most people do. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't much other than it was a place that I found myself in. So I applied to other institutions, University of Miami, again, big city, so I felt more at home, and I met so many people when I visited the institution that it was a good fit for me. And I wanted to be a medical doctor, so I started off looking at pre-med until my biology class took a tour of a hospital, and a nurse pulled me over at the end of the day and says, "Hey, are you sure you want to be a doctor?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I want to be a doctor. That's what I'm going to get to." So, well, you might want to work on cringing when you see the needles. So I decided to change my path, and I ended up with different majors and finishing up with psychology, and then continuing with an MBA and then a PhD in organizational management. But the true reason, going back to your question, was fit. I felt at home. I knew that the people the faculty members, the staff, the other students, really, I felt that they really cared about me. And it really showed when, even though the policy was part of kick me out, when I went to faculty members, staff members, and other students, and graduate students, they all helped me be able to put my packet together of appealing the grades and be able to get right back into school without missing a beat. So what I sensed when I visited, it came out to be completely true. And I still go back to visit, and I support the university and the organizations, the student organizations there as well.
Any other questions?
That was a long way to answering your question. That got a little bit of extra.
We have some questions from the audience as well.
Awesome.
Do you feel like those three benefits 100% relate to you from going to college or apply to you?
Can you repeat that, relay the question? I heard a little bit of it.
Do you feel like the three benefits you talked about of going to college, like how do you feel like they apply to your life? Yeah,
definitely. So it wasn't like a magic wand where, I get the diploma and then all of a sudden I'm excited, I'm happy and healthy, and then I have money. It's a journey, right? So today, and probably over the last 10 years or so, I definitely say it fits. So I graduated in 2000 with my bachelor's degree, and my PhD in 2009. So, you can see the bigger difference, but definitely job satisfaction. So I'll start with that one, right? With happiness and job satisfaction, maybe go through the 3 points one at a time. So when I graduated college, and with my psychology degree, I wanted to go on to a master's. So I was able to find different opportunities to do what I wanted to do with it, which is help other people. But quickly I found maybe the part that I wanted wasn't there exactly. So I started in a counseling center for about 6 months, and then I found Habitat for Humanity, and I was there for 5 years, helping others build houses and get to their homes. And that was very satisfying. I mean, we went from building 23 houses to 40 a year. And just to see the families moving in and see them years later, and even actually about a couple of years, not last year because we haven't been in many places, but a couple of years ago, going to a grocery store and people still remember and meeting people that I've met, almost 20 years ago, it's pretty impactful. So job satisfaction, definitely. And then today, absolutely, I wouldn't be talking about college if I didn't really enjoy the work that I do with the students and the faculty across the 12 community colleges across the state, and increasing their graduation rates. 5 years ago, when I started doing this particular role, we had 19,000 students graduating every year, and now we have 34. So again, going to graduations, going to commencements, and seeing folks. One of my favorite ones was in 2019, actually, the fall of 2019, where a graduation at Bossier Parish Community College in Shreveport, or Bossier City, had the youngest and the oldest of the system graduates, a 17-year-old and a 71-year-old. So it's kind of interesting. So yes, happiness, and then family life as far as overall happiness, absolutely. I mean, I love the fact that I'm able to, as a single dad, be with my daughters and have them at home, and actually coming in here and visiting with them, and then having that, be able to build that relationship. So from the health side of the house, yeah, I think I mentioned the fact that you're able to maybe have a job that has healthcare included, or you're able to afford the care. My middle daughter suffered from addiction after her best friend from childhood passed from cancer, and she went through a downward spiral. And I remember helping her and being able to give her the care that she needed. And about 6 months later, I get a bill that was $2,000, and of course I had to call my insurance, and it was an error. But I remember crying, because there are people out there that do not have the ability to afford their health care. And it already getting a little bit more emotional now, because that's important. So to be able to do that, it ties into the happiness and be able to be glad, but it's also be able to stay healthy and have a good healthy family and life, mental and physical. And then money, yes, definitely. I mean, there's no way, like I mentioned to y'all when I started right after, actually, I didn't mention it to y'all. When I started right after the master's degree, I was right there with the averages. So I've been able to stick along with those averages and be able to go on family vacations. We would go to Disney, we go to Puerto Rico, of course. My parents live in the Bahamas now, so we're able to visit with them. Well, again, forget the last year for a second when I mentioned all these trips and travels. Nothing's happened before March of 2020, but going to San Francisco, visiting different places. So being able to have the things that we have at home, and that I also know not many people have, and this pandemic has shown that there are a lot of people and families that don't have access to internet, and being able to impart the resources forward and pass it forward, it kind of does a full circle back to the happiness piece and being able to help others. So I can talk a bunch more about this, but yeah, those three pieces definitely fit for me personally, and I know others that it fits as well from an early on. But then I really saw it just spike up about 8-10 years into my work career. So again, it's not a magic wand that they just hand you a degree and you have all these three right away. I mean, it takes a little bit of hard work and making sure that you have the support system. I've always had 3 mentors: one that knows the job that I want, and one that doesn't know anything about the career path that I want, and then one that knows me best, so that I can take all the 3 different advices and make something for myself and my family. Good question.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
For the health perspective, do you mean more like physical, mental health, or did you mean like being able to afford health care and stuff?
Yeah, so it ties together, right? But no, it's physical and mental health it's what I was showing you, it is physical, mental health that ties into that, right? So, but obviously being able to take care of yourself definitely adds to that. I mean, being able to go to a doctor and pay the doctor the copay rather than the full bill for getting health care definitely plays a factor into it. But just for me, being able to get the care that's needed from the affordability standpoint and also from the access standpoint is key. So all of them tie in together. But when I was talking about health, it was both. It was you see the increase in health, in good health, both mental and physical, versus those without bachelor's degree or even lower. You see that those levels of good mental and physical health be lower as well. So it goes hand in hand with it. But I also think that it goes hand in hand with being happy. You know, that definitely reduces stress levels. Being able to afford certain things definitely reduces some stress levels. I'm not saying that having all the money in the world is the answer, because it's not. Having a good solid balance between these three, it's really what I think, at least for me, part of the answer of living a really.
Hey, this is Mariana. I just wanted to add on that topic. Having go through school a few times myself as well. I also think that when you have a college degree or where you have some of the higher levels of education, you have possibilities to be paired with jobs that also have more flexibility. And that also adds to your well-being overall, having jobs that can allow you more flexible schedules or being able to, step out for maybe going to the doctor or, even for going to the gym at lunchtime or, just having that flexibility around the jobs that are available to you. I think it's also a big plus when it comes to the mental and health overall well-being. And I think that goes hand in hand with this jobs that are paired with this higher levels of education as well.
Any additional questions?
I kind of wanted to add on to the
I'll repeat it if she can.
Yes.
I can kind of like relate to her because listening to what she said, because I wanted to add on and mention it. Like my dad wakes up at like 2 in the morning and comes back at like 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. And that's because he never went to college. He never went to college and he just graduated high school. So it's like, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's some people that you should do a college degree and flexibility part.
Yeah.
So I think what she said is very fair. I want to add it on.
Yeah. I don't know if you heard the student completely, but she was just talking about being able to truly understand what it means, the difference as far as like having job flexibility with a high school degree, a high school diploma versus a college degree. And she gave the example of her dad who leaves really early in the morning and doesn't come back until later in the evening, which doesn't leave as much time, to go to the doctor if there's time. Like you're more restricted by the hours when you're working what's called like shift work. So you're working based off a shift versus like when you have a salary position where like those sick days and personal days are kind of included.
That's a very good point, very good insight. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, it's really important. And I think that was one of the reasons, somebody asked me about happiness and all of those things, the three things. And I mentioned, being a single dad and having to be here and present, or wanting to be here and present for my other girls. I don't think I would have been able to do it without the different jobs that I was able to get from, and that was part of the reasons why I left the Air Force, because of the restrictions in the work, and then went into the higher education space and became an instructor, professor, and then dean, and so on, and moved up the rank. But be able to have the flexibility spend time with my family. It's very important. And you know, one more thing on the, you know, with the pandemic that we have experienced, that, you know, the majority of the jobs that have been lost are those with the lower levels of education. Those jobs that those people that have been able to keep their jobs have the higher level of education. Those jobs that are, you know, less hourly rate kind of situation, more on the salary side.
Hey, was she looking for additional information on that, or was she just kind of sharing?
She was just sharing personal experience.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I guess I just, you know, I know we have a little bit of time, but for more questions, I did want to add, you know, I do work in an environment because I work in a refinery and we have shift work and salary positions in the same kind of workspace. And I am a salary position. I don't work shift work, but you can also tell the difference between the flexibility on those jobs. I think that's a very good point, and I think it's very wise for her to already have that insight at the, you know, at this young age, because it is very visible now. And then, you know, as time goes by on your salary positions too, you can also get a lot more opportunities than you do with some of those shift work positions. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those jobs. I think those are wonderful jobs as well. But they do offer some benefits that are linked to happiness, as René is mentioning. So, but they are wonderful jobs as well, and we all need every single job. So.
Any other insights, anything that I could have shared with you? That's, I mean, again, we mentioned at the beginning, this is the first time we're doing this. You know, thank you for being the guinea pigs here, but you know, we're trying this out, and any questions or anything that we could do or I could do differently and better the next time that I share this information with others. It'd be great to hear your insight on that.
They say you did it perfectly.
Okay.
You really did. I really appreciate you incorporating your story into what I think are very valuable reasons to go to college. And as a college counselor, where there's often news about people who make it to these levels of success without going to college, and then even right now with a lot of colleges being virtual, like I know a lot of our seniors are thinking like, why should I go? Maybe I should do a gap year. But I think having these conversations about the long-term benefits and the value of that advanced education, I think is really important. And then you sharing your story with that, I think really emphasizes that. So I appreciate your story and your presentation.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Thanks for the feedback.
Well, wonderful. So thank you very much. And we look forward to future opportunities to do more mentoring sessions with you all. And I think this was great, and we can get even more participation over time.
Excellent. Thank you all very much for your time. I really appreciate spending time with you all today. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You'll have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all very much.